confirmed. See you on Thursday.
I'm getting a phone call right now. I'm wondering. What you could do is open the meeting and then indicate that they are not here, and we'll give them a 10-minute hiatus. Or whatever you think is appropriate. I'm indicating the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So many.
I was checking to see if I got an email or something.
I was checking too.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock, and the Energy, Environment, and Land Use Committee meeting will start. Any courtesy of the floor? Seeing none. Next on the agenda is the presentation from the Wildlands Conservancy. The person who is presenting is not here yet, so we will give them a few minutes.
Terrible traffic, so sorry. Thank you. Okay. All right, let me just. Yeah, let me just orient myself here.
Is it just you?
It's just me tonight,
Okay.
yeah, Nicole's gonna make it. I do have a couple things I can pass around here. Sure. Okay. Yes.
Okay, so we have Kate Ebel,
Evil.
Senior Restoration Ecologist, here to present on the Woodlands Conservancy.
Started here. Let's see. Not sure. Yeah. It does. Oh, maybe it's just got a little bit of a delay. Nope. Okay, it's working. Sorry. Okay. So thank you everyone for having me. Happy to come speak to you about. We have a long-standing partnership here with the county since 2017. So wanted to give you a little bit of an update on some of what we've done, kind of as a result of that partnership, and some thoughts for the future. So for anyone who's not familiar, Wildlands, we're a nonprofit land trust operating in the Lehigh Valley. We cover the entire Lehigh River watershed area, so kind of up in the Poconos as well. We have a really conservation-focused mission, which is where we focused our work with the county. So as I mentioned, we've had a partnership kind of formally developed in 2017, where we have, a contract set, and basically the contract kind of covers the areas up here, so kind of different focus areas for our different departments at Wildlands. So we focused a lot on natural habitat improvements kind of within the county park system, and also the just surrounding municipalities that we've worked with and developed partnerships kind of throughout the area. We've done a lot with trail planning and expanding trails throughout the county as well. We have an environmental education department that has focused a lot on programming, specifically within the county park system. We have, as I kind of mentioned, we've provided a lot of technical assistance for municipalities and other landowners throughout the county, so not just working on county property. And then we've done a lot of building partnerships with community groups and other environmental organizations to kind of help support a lot of the projects we've done both with the county and with other partners. And so kind of, I think we're on our third contract at this point with the county. So basically, in that time since 2017, due to that investment with the contract, we've been able to basically leverage kind of that investment with those contracts, basically 10 to 1. So we've brought in about $6.8 million to the county during that time, so since 2017, for work in our conservation efforts kind of in these areas, both on county properties and outside of that. It's been really successful. We've developed, a really good working relationship with Brian Cope and his staff, kind of working very closely with him. They've all been really great to work with, and it's facilitated a lot of great projects, and I'll go through some examples and cover some of what we've been doing. And I guess just to say, Brian and I have recently highlighted the partnership at the State Land Conservation Conference, so able to kind of show off that as a model, and it was kind of so successful in the presentation that we had another county and land trust approach us and actually ask us to give the presentation to them and to use it as a model. So it's been great to be able to kind of showcase all of that work. So a quick look at our land preservation that we've been working on. We have a department completely focused on that. So this is kind of a map of everything that they've kind of been doing in recent years. So we currently now have 22 conservation easements. 3 are actually co-held with the county. Those are shown in the blue on the map. And then we have 2 nature preserves of our own that we hold. So we do a lot of programming around those areas as well. And then we've done a lot of work adding to State Game Lands 168 right along the Kittatinny Ridge, which is got some really valuable habitat being kind of up along the mountainscape there. So I've done a lot of work to flip that over to the Game Commission. And so during that process, we've been able to protect more than 2,400 acres within the county. So just to highlight a few of the projects here, we've developed a really good partnership with Moore Township. So we've been able to protect more than 240 acres in partnership with the township. A lot of that in some recent easements that we've developed with them. We've done a lot to work with some of the railway companies. So we were able to purchase a property to kind of get access for the county, basically to connect 3 of the trail systems over in Plainfield Township to get access for trailheads and connect some of the trails there. So that was kind of a critical connection piece working with the railway there. As I mentioned, we've done a lot of work along the Kittatinny Ridge, so did purchase recently 8 acres along the ridge near Wind Gap Borough. Our preserve, the Binney and Smith Preserve in Northampton County, it's a really good location. It's along the Palmer Township Bikeway, and I'll highlight some of the work that we're going to be doing there upcoming and partially funded by the county as well. And then we have an easement in Williams Township that has been a really good showpiece. The landowners really invested in the work there, so been able to use that a lot of public education programs and show that as a model for really good easement and landowner stewardship. Some of our trail work here, so if anyone's familiar with sort of the rebranding of the entire Lehigh Valley Trail Network under the LINK, we've done a lot to work with the DNL and other partners, creating the interactive map that is now used by the public to kind of navigate that trail system. We are the water trail manager for the Lehigh River Water Trail, which is a 72-mile corridor trail throughout the entire area. So we maintain, we have a plan to kind of get access for people in there and make sure there are any improvements made throughout that trail network. You know, continuing to kind of work with the railways on getting additional kind of access to new trail building and critical kind of connector pieces throughout the existing trail network. And then we've also worked with Catasauqua to kind of get a trail connectivity planning in there as well. So turning over to our stream restoration, we wanted to highlight one of our big projects. So people might have seen some of this in the news or might have heard things about this project, but kind of a long-running project here, working within basically the entire Bushkill watershed. Series of dams that you can kind of see on the map. So there was originally sort of mitigation funding available. There was a fly ash spill in the Delaware, and they had to provide funding to kind of mitigate the damage that was done in the Delaware. So the Bushkill being a main tributary to the Delaware, you know, we were able to kind of push for that to be chosen for the mitigation funding. And basically, there's a series of dams along the Bushkill, preventing a lot of fish passage up from the Delaware, which is itself undammed. So a lot of potential for restoring fish passage that, you know, hasn't been able to happen in over 100 years because of the presence of these structures. So we've kind of slowly been working our way up the river here. We have now removed the first 3 dams, and then the 5th dam as well, and the 4th dam is kind of in progress at this point. We're in the design and permitting phase of that project, and then we're looking at potentially lining up some partnerships to remove the 6th dam. So this would be really critical for getting that fish passage in. They're working on a lot of efforts to restore native mussel populations as well. A lot of opportunities for opening up recreation for the public as well. A lot of these dams were in public areas, so, you know, safe passage for canoeing, kayaking, things like that in the river, improving fishing opportunities. And this has been, you know, more than a $2 million effort to date. So a lot of investment from a lot of different partners, including the county. The county has funded part of these efforts so far. And oops. So you can see this is a dam that we removed last year, and this is just to highlight some of the nice thing about dam removal Just a little different from some of our other projects. There's kind of an immediate sort of benefit and change to the stream. You immediately start to see, this was uncovered, I want to say it was like within the week of when we removed the structure, there were some really nice riffles and habitat areas for a lot of fish. So it's really great to see that habitat kind of uncovered after the dam is removed, that it's available there for when the fish are swimming back upstream. And then kind of in the bottom left, those are the mussels that they're actually reintroducing into the waterway to try to get those populations established. And so we had in this past fall, we had, sorry, my slide. Well, underneath the photos, there were a lot of articles that were supposed to be shown here, but basically we've had a lot of great press, and we had, in the bottom left, we had a big press event in the fall to kind of celebrate all the work that's happened so far. We had all the partners out speaking, including Lamont. He was one of the partners speaking as one of the funders and the partners, as well as all the state agencies and some of the mitigation team partners. So really successful day to kind of just show off all the progress so far and talk about kind of the work to come. And we did a planting with volunteers as well, so just to get some wildflowers and other habitat kind of established along the banks. So this is our Binney and Smith Preserve, so Wildlands owns the preserve. This is actually just right upstream from the 5th dam that we removed originally. So we wanted to come in and basically, it's all within the former impoundment of the dam. The dam was in there for a long time, and it kind of changed the nature of the stream. So looking at getting some of the habitat back into this area now that the structure's removed. So adding some structures, kind of stabilizing the banks and things like that, just to improve both access to the stream from the trail that runs kind of right along the bottom edge of that red line. And then also to just improve habitat. There's a lot of fishing groups that will use this area, so improve opportunities for that. So this is funded in part by the Livable Landscapes program and then leveraged with DEP and DCNR funding, so 2 state grant opportunities that we were able to bring in. And we are currently in the design and permitting stage, so we anticipate construction for next year. So hopefully we'll be able to highlight this in the future as a successful project completed. So this is this is an example of a project that we completed last year, so right on Northampton County property. So this was the Archibald Johnston Conservation Area. And basically, if anyone hadn't taken a walk down there, there were just, it's about a mile stretch of stream that the county owns along the Monocacy Creek. And just a series of kind of old failing bridges and dams and odd structures. The previous owner who had given the property to the county, just really completely kind of changed around the stream to suit, his desires for the property, I guess you would say. And so once he was gone, it was kind of left in disarray and really needed a lot of help. It wasn't even safe to have people on the property with the way the bridges were collapsing and stuff. So the county, didn't even have it open and have it part of the formal trail network. So wanted to kind of focus on the access and then the stream restoration side of things to kind of make this a really nice area for people to connect into existing property that Bethlehem Township owns and some other partners that is more of a park. So being able to connect into that and allow access into the property again. So did a large scale restoration here. Just kind of removing all those failing structures and stabilizing the stream banks and kind of naturalizing the channel and getting it back to kind of what it would have been before, it was kind of changed around and built up. So these were kind of immediately after, and we have to get back out this year when things green up and get some nice after photos that now that things have settled down a bit. But basically now we just have kind of what's really just looking like a natural stream channel that was kind of untouched at this point. And we're in the future going to be working on doing some additional plantings and things like that to kind of further stabilize and naturalize the area. So that'll be the next phase. We also have a lot of other great projects sort of in the lineup, looking at the years ahead here. So looking at solving some problems in two of the other parks within the system. So looking at combining efforts to put in some grant applications this year with the county. Over at Wayne Grube and Monocacy Meadows, kind of experiencing similar issues of erosion along the stream banks and needs for addressing some concerns from just increasing stormwater and things like that, and trying to make sure that the parks are really safe for residents to access when they're trying to get down to the stream, and improving some of the habitat throughout these park systems. So this will be an upcoming one for next year. And we're working with Fish and Boat, who's providing in-kind services and in the design for the project, which is really nice. So Bicentennial Park, this one is also funded by Livable Landscapes. This is in East Allen Township. And it's basically just like a 25-acre area that they had purchased originally and just kind of has been sitting there passively for several years. And so kind of there is a small stream that runs through. It actually comes off of the trail and then runs through the park area. So looking at kind of addressing some restoration needs there. So this is going to be part of their MS4 planning. So helping to reduce, the goal to be reducing sediment that would be coming down through this park area that's ending up in the waterways. So we'll be doing construction this summer, so coming up very quickly. So basically they're going to be putting in some stormwater kind of green infrastructure at the top to help kind of slow the flows. And then we're going to be naturalizing the rest of the space, so kind of totally transforming this area from what's really just a mowed field into kind of native wetland and meadow habitat, so adding a lot of color to the landscape. And there will be a new access trail, which will be ADA accessible. There will be a viewing pier and some new pedestrian bridges and things like that to make this a really great educational space for the township and partners, and kind of a model of what a park can be, as a natural space and good area for habitat. So just to highlight a couple of other things, we have some kind of large-scale ongoing efforts within several different county parks. So both Wayne Grube and Louise Moore Parks have kind of large-scale efforts of different kinds. So Wayne Grube, we focused a lot on riparian buffer restoration, so kind of planting native trees and shrubs along the stream there. We have planted, I think it's close to 1,000 trees to date at that park, kind of along the stream there. So large-scale effort looking at expanding that in the future. And then at Louise Moore, we've done a lot with on the meadow side of things. So we've done a lot with kind of small-scale pollinator areas in some areas that were kind of being mowed for no real purpose. And I will say those areas, whenever we're out there kind of checking up on them, I get a lot of people coming up to me and showing me photos of the butterflies or the flowers and saying how much they love it. So it's been a really great area, and a park that was really just kind of a lot of mowed grass. So it's been really nice to kind of add something to the park that really complements what's there already. And then kind of in the bottom left, did a large scale behind the farmhouse. So at Louise Moore, it's about a 7-acre area. So we seeded in a much larger meadow area. So that'll be, popping up this year and adding a lot of color, which is really exciting. And then, so kind of that's part of the larger effort. So we were able to bring in a grant from DCNR, and basically in 6 of the county parks, we're going to be doing meadow restoration and a little bit of reforestation at Wayne Grube as well. But it's going to be about 18 acres of meadows across the county park system that are going to be put in actually this spring, so coming up pretty quick. They're going to do them all at once, so we're gonna tackle it right away. And I think this is going to be a really great project. I see you guys as kind of the leader of meadow restoration here in the county. I mean, this is really the largest scale effort that I've seen with a municipal partner, and really just looking at transforming spaces kind of like in the bottom photo where they're just being mowed, but no one's using them as a soccer field or anything like that. It's, there's just kind of walking paths nearby. So it's a really great opportunity to bring in a lot of color and habitat and a lot of opportunities to see wildlife. So we're we're really excited by the possibilities, and there's going to be a lot of our educational efforts will kind of focus on that in the future and getting people out to these areas. So I think, all right, well, this is sort of the after photo. I think all my animations disappeared from my slides, but there were some before photos. But so this is a park in Bethlehem Township, so right by their community center, if anyone's familiar. So there is a stream that runs through this area, but really it was just kind of all mowed. And so every time it rained, the water would kind of just pond in the grass, and then the geese would come along, and it wasn't great. And then there's a walking path around it, but really not much to look at. So what we did was come in. We did plant some trees along the path kind of for shade and things like that. And then we turned, it's about 3 acres into a meadow, kind of right in the middle of the walking path area. And this is sort of a couple years later in the after photo, but we've seen a great response, and there's a lot of grassland birds and pollinator species that are able to use this area. And similar positive response from the public, kind of walking around in the meadow here and getting to see that right in the middle of their park. And then this one, so this was another exciting partnership that kind of came about also through Northampton County, able to kind of expand our partnerships into some private properties, but that are open to the public. So Lehigh Valley Hospital somewhat recently opened a facility at Hecktown Oaks, and they similarly have a lot of mowed grass on their facility, and we were able to develop a project with them to turn about 9 acres of that into meadows. So that's actually going to be on the same timeline as the county park system, so we'll be doing that this spring and bringing that along, and we're excited because we'll be able to develop a similar model of doing programming with the with the hospital and getting signage out. So it's been a really great partnership, and we're excited about the possibilities there and expanding into other sort of corporate partnerships, since they do own so much property, and there's a lot of opportunity there in the Lehigh Valley. And then the last couple slides I have here are just about some of our environmental education work. And I think that's a lot of what I handed out was some of the upcoming programming for this year. So if anyone's interested, we have a lot of cool programs coming up in the next few months here. But since 2017, we've been able to reach over 2,500 participants in our programs. And these, again, thanks to the contractor, all offered free of charge to the public. So it's been a really great way to reach kind of an additional sector of the population. We've had more than 250 programs since that time. We've really been able to use most of the county park system. And it's really brought a lot of interest kind of to the what's really a pretty diverse park system. Like, you guys have a lot of really great natural resources. Depending on the park, everything's a little bit different. So we've been able to kind of offer different programs at different parks, which has been a lot of fun for our education staff. So one of the ones that I think they began last year that's been really popular, so paddling on Mincy Lake, we have canoes that we'll bring up there, and we'll just have participants come out and get on the lake. And ever since the dam's been redone, there's been a lot of opportunities to kind of get out and see some of the wildlife and some of the new areas that are kind of opened up after that. We have a lot of great programs in, especially at Louise Moore and Wayne Grube. They have day camps over the summer. Those tend to sell out every time they run a program, so they've been really popular for a lot of the little kids. We also have some cool, there's a wild mushroom hike that we're going to be offering, I think, over the summer, and that one was really popular last year, so we're excited to offer that in the county. And yeah, just a lot of really wildlife-focused programs, and then we're developing a new program to do some education around some of the meadow stuff at Louise Moore, so highlighting some of our restoration work in partnership with our education department, so trying to kind of tie in all of those areas. But I think that was it. Yeah, I'll pause there if anyone has any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Yep, go ahead.
Just a couple. First off, Wildlands Conservancy. I'm a new board member and only been to a couple meetings, but what I am learning that the Conservancy does is just absolutely fantastic in terms of really preserving land here in our local communities, whether it's in Northampton County, whether it's Lehigh County as well. It's pretty astonishing work, and it's really great to see the work that you're all doing. At the last board meeting that we were at, it was told to us that there are 4 stream restoration projects whose funding had been cut due to some of the cuts coming down from Washington and the administration, that there were 4 stream restoration projects. I think 2 from what Executive Director Chris Cocker had said were in Northampton County. Do we have any updates on are they still kind of in limbo because of those cuts at this point?
It's interesting. We got some interesting news today.
Okay.
So I do have a little bit of an update, I guess. But yeah, so we did lose over $1 million in funding
Right.
theoretically, which is a lot, obviously. That affects the Bushkill Dam removals, and projects there was one of them. It's interesting. Today they did, so we thought they weren't going to, but they did open a new grant round in that same program that we lost our
Oh,
funding
nice.
in.
Okay.
So one would think that they may give back the funding from the last round if they're opening a new round, especially since some of the funding we lost was money we already spent, and they're refusing to reimburse it.
Yeah.
But so we're thinking things have moved in a better direction. From what we can tell, we've heard some whisperings from state agencies as well.
That's
so
good news, because
we're
these stream
hopeful.
restoration projects are very important.
Yeah.
They really are, from
Yeah.
an ecological standpoint.
Yes.
Also, really quick, the North Catasauqua Trail Plan, North Catasauqua's in my district. Can you give maybe an update on where we're at in terms of that trail plan? I was not aware of that, which is why I'm
Yeah.
asking now. I see you're smiling, so there may be.
No, sorry. I work in our stream restoration department, and I'm filling in for all the departments right now, and I don't know much about it. So I could certainly get you an update from someone who knows more.
Yeah,
But
I'd appreciate it, and
Yeah.
just to know and understand the process of how they may be keeping the borough residents
Yeah.
up to speed on what's happening with that particular plan, and if you need anything from us as well, so.
yeah, absolutely. And I know the borough's been a really strong partner on that, so I'm sure that there's a component going out to the residents that.
All right,
But yeah, I will get more information on that.
all right. Thank you, Kate.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Kate, how many trees do you guys plant a year?
Yeah. It's over 1,000 in a year.
Where do you get your trees from?
We get them mostly from a nursery near Lancaster. It's called Octoraro. They specialize in native plants, so there aren't many that do that.
So with the ash trees getting decimated, which I believe somebody else came in here and told us 25% of basically the trees in the state of Pennsylvania are ash, and that they're all going to basically be gone.
Yes.
I don't think anybody could argue, trees are important for not only, oxygen, but also soil erosion and water retention. Has anybody ever, and this is a perfect place to talk about it, like, have we ever talked about setting up on county park land tree nurseries or tree farms? It would obviously be a long-term thing where we need to grow these trees for years and years and years, but between the work that you guys do, the work that we want to accomplish as a county, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to start thinking about, even if they're starting from seedlings and, just getting some irrigation and shade and making sure we can grow, thousands of trees pretty cheaply if they start them young enough, and might be a interesting use of our land and some of our resources. Would that be something that your organization would benefit from if the county had their own trees that you could pull from?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think it's always great to have free trees or free trees at a cheaper rate. I will say with the Master Watershed Stewards, if you're familiar with the program, they're mostly a volunteer-based organization. They've set up, I think it's behind Graysdale, like a live steak nursery. So they have plantings that they take cuttings from, and then they can use those in some of their plantings. So yeah, maybe expanding on something like that, or establishing a separate.
Yeah,
You
I don't
certainly
think we
have
can
space.
go wrong by planting as many
No.
trees as possible.
I definitely don't
I
think
guess
so.
it would all be how we do it. So something I'd like to at least have this committee talk about a little bit more, and maybe we could talk about, dedicating spaces in parks that are pretty much open space that we, irrigate and plant more trees in. That's
I
all
like the
have.
idea, to be honest. I do. If you don't mind, I can bring it up at the next Wildlands Conservancy Board meeting that, Mr. Gafredo, you brought this up. Want to get their input as well.
Yeah,
get the conversation
logistically,
going.
I don't know how to go about doing it. I had the idea a little bit ago, and then you came in here, and I just wanted to bring it up to see what ideas you guys had. So, yeah, if you could,
Something
that'd be
to
great.
explore, yeah.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. So I live very close to Binney and Smith and the Bushkill there, and I run along the trail
Yeah.
all the time. You said that the dams are going to make it possible for fish to swim up from the Delaware? What species? Because I know it's stocked with trout.
Yeah, so trout would be one species. Shad is another, potential. We don't have shad in our watershed, like in the Lehigh, and it's not in the Bushkill as well because they're not able to get past the dams, but species like that. And then I will say too, eel. So that one, I know that one can freak people out a little bit, but they actually carry the mussels upstream. So they're how mussels move through watersheds, and then mussels are actually like our big water filters. So they clean our water and get rid of all the gunk in there and oxygenate it. So they're really a critical species. But yeah, basically any migratory species that's splitting its time between the ocean and freshwater is now, going to be able to get into the Bushkill.
Why'd they put the dams there to begin with?
Yeah, I mean, we have a pretty industrial history in Pennsylvania, so a lot of them are old mill dams, and the mill is, no longer in production, and it wasn't really a priority to remove the dam. It was easier to just leave it in after they were done with the mill, and so they did, and now they're failing and, causing water quality concerns, so.
Then the trail that ends, and it's like right at the start of Tatamy.
Yeah,
There's a pizzeria there.
yeah.
Is it going to extend any time in the future? Are you going to do anything with it, or is it just, that's the end?
A good question. That's another one I'd have to look and see if that's like in the long range plan. But yeah, I mean, I know that they basically have kind of studies for most areas, like how to connect trails to each other. Sometimes it's not feasible with the way the ownership is in between, maybe the two trails you might want to connect. But yeah, I could certainly ask and see if that one's on the radar.
And then my last question is, bees and bats are in trouble. Do you have mason bee houses or like all those pollinating bees that are not honeybees, but do you have those types of things and bat houses?
Yeah, it's certainly something that we've incorporated in other projects. And I will say, like, a lot that we do with the meadow restoration really facilitates a lot of, helping those species. Like, we have hundreds of species of native bees that most people don't know about. They just think about honeybees, but they all need different, species of wildflowers, and those meadows have, like, a really diverse mix, which helps them. And then, yeah, we've often, once we've done meadow restoration, we'll bring in things like bird boxes, bat boxes, things like that, trying to facilitate areas for these species to nest. So that's something that, yeah, we would potentially talk to the county about at some of these parks and getting some of those habitat areas in as well.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? No? This is wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and presenting to
Problem.
us.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks.